Hi there, I'm Nathan Agan, and welcome back to the Working Actors Journey Rehearsal Room. We have been working on Titus Andronicus for this month, one scene from Shakespeare's play. First time working on this play, really excited that we could dive into this material. And if you've been following along, I think you're going to enjoy seeing where the actors have gotten to, the artists have gotten to. If this is your first time checking it out, if you're finding this, discovering it, and you're on week 4, go back, check out weeks 1, 2, and 3, see how we all got to this part of the process. If you have questions and comments, please leave those below. I'll do my best to respond to those, or try to bring in some of the artists to respond to them. And keep the conversation going there. If you enjoy what you're seeing, hit like, hit subscribe, stay connected so you can keep following us and seeing what other work we put out. Tonight may be the final session of this workshop, but it is not meant to be a final performance. It's rather just a continued work in progress. This is just the next step of where we are. If they kept doing table work, it might continue to evolve. Certainly, if we blocked it, it would evolve further still. If we did a whole play and production, you get the idea. We're lining up new scenes and new projects. We have some Shakespeare on deck, and we have all stuff from the archive that I'm trying to bring out as often as I can. Different playwrights and things like that. So again, stay connected and you'll be the first to know what is going on there, looking into different ways that we can distill we have hundreds of hours of content, and looking at ways that maybe we can try to distill some of that to help you, get a jump on some of the things that you might be interested in learning about, or using some of this stuff for your own, career and journey. But of course, there's no shortcut to just kind of sitting here and going through the discussions. That's kind of the best way to really learn and let it wash over you. But we will continue posting on YouTube for free, all the weekly sessions for people to enjoy. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like I said. Click for notifications. You can still support the project via Patreon and get early access to some stuff for just starting at $5 per month. Thank you to some of our patrons: Ivar, Joan, Michele, Jim, Magdalen, Claudia, Clif, and Jeff. If you have any questions, again, comment below, and I will turn it over to our director, Nick. Hope you guys have a great session. I'll be back a little bit towards the end, and we can do a little Q&A. So that's it. Have a great session. I'll be listening in as always.
Thank you, Nathan. Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Our final episode of Titus Andronicus. It's been an incredible learning experience for me, and I'm so grateful to work on this play with masters such as yourselves. And I went down a bit of a rabbit hole this last week with Titus, and took a look back at Ovid and read as much as I could squeeze in on the subject. Read a lot of Sir Jonathan Bate and what he had to say about the Arden copy of his Arden copy of Titus Andronicus. And one thing that struck me was when you type in Google and it gives a little AI sort of hit back of what you're looking up. Well, if you do that with Titus Andronicus, about the third sentence down, it says, generally considered one of Shakespeare's worst plays. And I was a little bit taken back by this because it's right at the top of Google. And I was like, that's some bad press, Bill. So I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, why is that? Because there must be many articles on the internet that are disparaging the play for AI to come to that conclusion. And I started thinking that, there's so much focus on the gore and the absurdity of this play. And while I was researching, I read there's a review of the production that's happening right now at the Swan with Simon Russell Beale. Arifa Akbar from The Guardian. She said in this review, in spite of its bloodbaths, it's a play that glitters with poetic richness. And I realized that there are some Shakespeare plays that I'll see a production happening and I won't be particularly excited to run out and go see that show. This is not one of them. If somebody's doing Titus, I'm excited to see what they do with Titus. But it's not it's not to see hands getting cut off or people baked into pies or anything. It's for Marcus's speech when he sees Lavinia. It's for the poetry and it's a it's a human viewpoint. You know, the play deals with humanity. It deals with violence in so many different forms. It deals with revenge, with politics, with humor, with sadness, and a lot, and I think mostly with love. I think that the play deals with a mother's love, and it deals with a father's love, and it has romance, and it deals with love of country. And you know, within this bloody mayhem, Shakespeare brings to life. I was thinking of that Sting song, "How Fragile We Are." Um, and I don't know. I mean, perhaps Shakespeare's hope with this play was by the witnessing of this sort of the insane and terrible things that we can do to each other. You know, the image of Aaron, this sort of hardened criminal, pronouncing to everybody all of the terrible things he's done, while at the same time expressing the most profound and purest love for this little baby. And that's the thing that strikes me about this play. I think that a lot like Ovid took a human viewpoint where so many viewpoints were from the state and from Rome at that time. And maybe this play can help an audience leave and help see the uncorrupted good in each other through this terrible violence that the play produces. I don't know. I just wanted to say why I chose this piece and why I love this play. And I'm so grateful to have wonderful actors like you interpreting these words for me. Thank you so much. What I'd like to do today is I'd like to perform the scene twice with two different casts and maybe perform it once, talk about it a little bit, perform it again and talk about it. And then we'll have some questions at the end that we can answer. And that'll be that. Uh, so I only have two notes from my actors, and I went back and watched every performance that we've had of these scenes and all the work that we've done. And I think that we've created a structure that will free creativity now. I think that it's time to let it live, and it's time to take as much time as we need with this text. We have the freedom to not have a 3-hour play to worry about with the pacing, so we can let it breathe. We can take some time on the full stops. If there's a question, we can really ask the question. Every performance that you guys have delivered has been a masterclass, and I'm so grateful. And I can't wait to see what we can show up with today. Thank you guys so much. Do you guys have any questions before we get started? Anything that you noticed about the play this week? I know you're all busy doing several other projects at the time. Well, great. Then let's start out
Nick, sorry,
with, I have a cast list somewhere. I'm
Nick?
sorry,
We got
Miranda.
Miranda trying to get in. Yeah.
Yes, and Nick, I just wanted to thank you for what you said at the beginning to get us started, and thank you also for sharing the Guardian reviewer. I like that reviewer a lot. I don't always agree with her, but I think she's very thoughtful and knowledgeable. And my line about the British reviewers is often they don't like anything. So I think that's very significant that she that the poetry was and the beauty of the language was speaking to her. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for everything you said at the beginning of our session.
Yeah, it was really interesting to learn on how much Shakespeare gathered from Ovid. So Jonathan Bate was talking about how, Shakespeare, when he was younger, would have found a wonderful translation of Ovid by Arthur Golding. And apparently this is just a very sort of lively and well-written translation of Ovid. And they affected so many of his plays. And they're a lot about transformation. And this is looking at the transformation. You know, he mentioned that when someone falls in love, there's actually amino acids and proteins and chemicals in the brain that are changed forever. So there is literally a transformation that happened. Now, Ovid would do it symbolically. People would transform into a tree or a rock, or whereas Shakespeare internalized it and was able to show us how these transformations happened within the characters on stage. There are some literal translations, like in Midsummer's, the bottom turns into an ass, but most of it happens internally, and it's it's just a human look at humanity, if I may say. It's extraordinary how he was able to update Ovid's writings and make them accessible still to this day.
Could I just piggyback off of that, just with
Please.
another scientific observation following yours, and given that science is a little bit in short supply these days in the public discourse, maybe that's okay. The other thing that irrevocably changes a woman's body is to have a child. Fetal DNA continues to circulate in the mother's body for the rest of her life, including migrating to the brain, thereby proving what we all know, which is that kids get into your head. But seriously, since we were talking about, how maternal love, paternal love, are such strong motivators and such strong forces in this play. I just wanted to follow up what you said, Nick, with adding that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that, last week we had a fascinating discussion. It was so interesting about all levels of violence and humanity and race in Shakespeare. And I think that these are conversations that need to be had, and that's why I'm grateful, Nathan, for providing us with this place. I live in Hawaii, and there's no access to Elizabethan text of any kind where I am. So this is a beautiful outlet for me, and I'm just so grateful to be here. And I'm so excited that I get to watch this what's about to happen, and that I don't have to act this time. Thank God. I put a couple of casts together, if we may. I'd love to do it once with Tony. I'd like you to play Titus the first time, if that's okay. Charlotte, I'd love you to play Tamora this time, if that's okay. And Jamal, Chiron, and Marcus, and Angie, Demetrius, and Publius. And then we'll do it again, and we'll switch the casts up, and we'll give the other two actors a shot at Titus and Tamora, if we may. Does that sound okay to everybody?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Thank you so much.
Thus, in this strange and sad habiliment, I will encounter with Andronicus and say, I am revenge, sent from below to join with him and right his heinous wrongs. Knock at his study, where they say he keeps to ruminate strange plots of dire revenge. Tell him revenge is come to join with him and work confusion on his enemies.
Who doth molest my contemplation? Is it your trick to make me ope the door, that so my sad decrees may fly away and all my study be to no effect? You are deceived, for what I mean to do, see, here. In bloody lines I have set down, and what is written will be executed.
Titus, I am come to talk with thee.
No, not a word. How can I grace my talk wanting a hand to give it action? Thou hast the odds of me, therefore no more.
If thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me.
I am not mad. I know thee well enough. Witness this wretched stump. Witness these crimson lines. Witness these trenches made by grief and care. Witness the tiring day and the heavy night. Witness all sorrows that I know thee well for our proud empress, mighty Tamora. Is not thy coming for my other hand?
No, thou sad man. I am not Tamora. She is thy enemy, and I thy friend. I am Revenge, sent from the infernal kingdom to ease the gnawing vulture of thy mind by working wreckful vengeance on thy foes. Come down and welcome me to this world's light. Confer with me of murder and of death. There's not a shallow cave or lurking place, no vast obscurity or misty veil where bloody murder or detested rape can couch for fear, but I will find them out. And in their ears tell them my dreadful name, Revenge, which makes the foul offender quake.
Oh, art thou Revenge? And art thou sent to me to be a torment to mine enemies?
I am. Therefore come down and welcome me.
Do me some service ere I come to thee. Lo, by thy side where rape and murder stands, now give me some assurance that thou art Revenge. Stab them, or tear them on thy chariot wheels, and then I'll come and be thy wagoner, and whirl along with thee about the globe, provide thee two proper palfreys, black as jet, to hail thy vengeful wagon swift away, and find out murderers in their guilty caves. And when thy car is loaden with their heads, I will dismount and by thy wagon wheel trot like a servile footman all day long, even from Hyperion's rising in the east until his very downfall in the sea. And day by day I'll do this heavy task, so that thou destroy rapine and murder them.
These are my ministers, and come with me.
Are they thy ministers? What are they called?
Rape and murder. Therefore call it so, because they take vengeance of such kind of men.
Good Lord, how like the Empress's sons they are, and you the Empress. We worldly men have miserable, mad, mistaking eyes. Oh, sweet Revenge, do now I come to thee, and if one arm's embracement will content thee, I will embrace thee in it by and by.
This closing with him fits his lunacy. Whate'er I forge to feed his brain-sick humors, do you oppose me for revenge? And being credulous in this mad thought, I'll make him send for Lucius, his son. And whilst I at a banquet hold him sure, I'll find some cunning practice out of hand to scatter and disperse the giddy Goths, or, at the least, make them his enemies. See, here he comes, and I must ply my theme.
Long have I been forlorn, and all for thee. Welcome, dread fury, to my woeful house. Rapine and murder, you're welcome too. How like the Empress and her sons you are. Well are you fitted. Had you but a Moor, could not all hell afford you such a devil? For well I want the Empress never wags, but in her company there is a Moor. And would you represent our queen aright, it were convenient you had such a devil. But welcome as you are, what shall we do?
What wouldst thou have us do, Andronicus?
Show me a murderer, I'll deal with him. Show me a villain that hath done a rape, and I am sent to be revenged on him.
Show me 1,000 that have done thee wrong, and I will be revenged on them all.
Look round about the wicked streets of Rome, and when thou findest a man that's like thyself, good murder, stab him. He's a murderer. Go thou with him, and when it is thy hap to find another that is like to thee, good rapine, stab him. He is a ravisher. Go thou with them, and in the Emperor's court there is a queen attended by a Moor. Well shalt thou know her by thine own proportion, for up and down she doth resemble thee. I pray thee now, do on them some violent death that have been violent to me and mine.
Well hast thou lessoned us. This shall we do. But would it please thee, good Andronicus, to send for Lucius, thy thrice valiant son, who leads towards Rome a band of warlike Goths, and bid him come and banquet at thy house? When he is here, even at thy solemn feast, I will bring in the empress and her sons, the emperor himself, and all thy foes, and at thy mercy shall they stoop and kneel, and on them shalt thou ease thy angry heart. What says Andronicus to this device?
Marcus, my brother, 'tis sad Titus calls. Go, gentle Marcus, to thy nephew Lucius. Thou shalt inquire him out among the Goths. Bid him repair to me, and bring with him some of the chiefest princes of the Goths. Bid him encamp his soldiers where they are. Tell him the emperor and the empress to feast at my house, and he shall feast with them. This do for my love. So let him, as he regards his aged father's life.
This will I do, and soon return again.
Now will I hence about thy business, and take my ministers along with me.
Nay, nay. Let rape and murder stay with me, or else I'll call my brother back and cleave to no revenge but Lucius.
What say you, boys? Will you abide with him, whilst I go tell my lord the emperor how I have governed our determined jest? Yield to his humor, smooth, speak him fair, and tarry with him till I turn again.
I knew them all. They suppose me mad, and will overreach them in their own devices. A pair of cursed hellhounds and their dam.
Madam, depart at your pleasure. Leave us here.
Farewell, Andronicus. Revenge now goes to lay a complot to betray thy foes.
I know thou dost, and sweet revenge. Farewell.
Tell us, old man, how shall we be employed?
Tut, I have work enough for you to do. Publius, come hither. Caius and Valentine.
And I think you're on mute.
Yes, I am. Come hither, Caius and Valentine. What is your will?
That's my life.
Oh, shit.
So let's take it from Titus's line, Tut, I have work enough to do for
Yeah,
you, and
yeah.
then have Publius come in with what is your will?
Oh, I've just been acting away in silence.
All good.
I tell you what, I know thee thus. I know thou dost, and sweet revenge, farewell.
Tell us, old man, how shall we be employed?
Tut, I have work enough for you to do. Publius, come hither. Caius and Valentine,
Yeah, what is your will?
know you these two?
The emperor's sons, I take them. Chiron, Demetrius.
Fie, Publius, fie, thou art too much deceived. The one is murder, and rape is the other's name, and therefore bind them, gentle Publius. Caius and Valentine, lay hands on them. Oft have you heard me wish for such an hour, and now I find it. Therefore bind them sure, and stop their mouths if they begin to cry.
Villains, forbear! We are the Empress' sons!
And therefore do we what we are commanded. Stop their mouths. Let them not speak a word. Is he sure bound? Look that you bound them fast.
Come, come, Lavinia. Look, thy foes are bound. Sir, stop their mouths. Let them not speak to me, but let them hear what fearful words I utter. Oh, villains, Chiron and Demetrius, here stands the spring whom you have stained with mud, the goodly summer with your winter mixed. You killed her husband, and for that vile fault, 2 of her brothers were condemned to death, my hand cut off, and made a merry jest. Both her sweet hands, her tongue, and that more dear than hands or tongue, her spotless chastity. Inhuman traitors, you have constrained and forced. What would you say if I should let you speak? Villains, for shame! You could not beg for grace. Hark, wretches, how I mean to martyr you. This one hand yet is left to cut your throats, whilst that Lavinia tween her stumps doth hold the basin that receives your guilty blood. You know your mother means to feast with me, and calls herself revenge, and thinks me mad. Hark, villains, I will grind your bones to dust, and with your blood I'll make a paste, and of the paste a coffin I will rear, and make 2 pasties of your shameful heads, and bid that strumpet, your unhallowed dam, like to the earth, swallow her own increase. This is the feast that I have bid her to, and this the banquet she shall surfeit on. For worse than Philomel you used my daughter, and worse than Procne I will be, revenged. Now prepare your throats. Lavinia, come, receive the blood. And when that they are dead, let's go grind their bones to powder small. And with this hateful liquor temper it, and in that pace let their vile heads be baked. Come, come, be everyone officious. Bring out apron. Oh, to make this banquet, which I wish may prove more stern and bloody than the centaur's feast. So now, bring them in, for I'll play the cook and see them ready against their mother comes.
I just figured out what makes me feel so comfortable about this scene is that I feel like Titus has been so off balance in so many scenes throughout this show. He keeps getting hit over and over and over again. But it feels good to the audience to watch him take control. It's like watching a boxing match where one fighter is getting pummeled in the first rounds over and over again, and then he comes back finally and fights his way back. And something really satisfying about that. And Tony, I really enjoyed how you brought it down to a very sort of narrow place in the end, and it was incredibly focused and really beautiful. Both of you, really, really beautiful work.
You know,
Charlotte,
I'm sorry.
I
No,
wrote
go ahead.
down your tactics were incredibly clear. And I loved that because she tries so many different ways. And you hit each one of them on the note. There's a point where she's kind of coaching him, you know, she pumps him up a little bit, and it's very, very, it's almost the happiest scene in the show. It's like these 2 guys are getting along great.
Well, they're aligned, strangely. You know,
It's
they both
really
want the same thing.
It's really odd and satisfying. It's so strange. Your aside was beautifully played in this medium too. I love how you went close to the camera and kind of gave us a little secret. It was lovely. That's a nice. I'm gonna remember that. That was great. Um, and Angie, you've got a career in silent film for sure. We understood every beat. I saw it. I saw it.
And that wonderful voice I used.
Tony, the joy. There are moments of joy that you were releasing that it gave Titus this power. You know, we finally get to see him sort of. I got the sense from this reading that Titus is incredibly sane. Like he just to me it seems he seems so powerful. It's almost like we finally get to see the general that we've heard about, throughout the earlier scenes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
You know, yeah.
what was it? He even threatens Tamora in the middle when he says, "Lest I call my brother back."
Oh,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
found that really interesting this time. You're like, you're going to leave them here, or else I'll cancel the whole thing, and you're going to have
Right.
to do it. That really stood out to me that moment this time. That's very strong. And she's like, "Oh, okay." It was, yeah,
Yeah,
lovely work, lovely work.
yeah. You know, it felt it just personally, it felt the the uh, the material is not something you can casually do in a kind of way. It's not like you left it for a week and come back and you're going to just step in. So I felt like I didn't really catch up to it myself personally. I didn't catch up to it, and was the text was ahead of me. The text was driving me as opposed to me using the text. And then gradually, I felt all of a sudden. So by the end, I felt like I was the one. But previous to that, I had what I call Shakespeare breath.
Don't say you
Which
got to
is
warm up before a game.
yeah, yeah. It is. It's daunting material. It's not. It's easy to be humiliated by you're humbled. The demands. I mean, it's the reason. I mean, I often think why. I mean, we know the obvious reason why they teach Shakespeare in acting class, why they use Shakespeare, but it is actually that using him, because the demands of the poetry and the behavior and all of that are combined in that. Because I mean, unfortunately, no, very few actors can earn a living doing Shakespeare these days. Very few. So consequently, why do they continue doing it? I think the reason I do it when I teach is because I think, I tell you what, oh, you're very good with two balls juggling. What happens if we had four, two more balls? How are you doing there? You know what I mean? And so it's that kind of thing. And I felt a little bit of that in the first half of the scene. I thought, oh boy, this is way ahead of me right now. But
And
it
it
happens.
also and it
It
also
happens.
requires you to be present as
Yeah, yeah,
well, because like all
yeah,
the language and everything, you have to be present. And I
yeah.
think that I tell my students all the time, like you can always go back to your breath. You can always go back. You can always go back to the
Right.
present moment. And I think that Shakespeare, because you have to align speech, your breath, which he puts into the poetry. So it forces you to be present. And if you go ahead of that, and I do all the time, it's something that's going to happen, right?
Right,
But it's that
right.
reminder again to be present.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah, the time off. Yeah, it's easy. It's the muscles. There's so many things, so many balls to dribble. I love that analogy of juggling many balls because it really is. I've been working on Shakespeare. My daughter is in sixth grade. And then we've been discussing Shakespeare because she wanted to know they're doing a school play right now, and so we had a discussion. She wanted to know who this guy was that I was coming in this room to talk about every week. So we had the same discussion about it, and I'm just introducing her to his plays, and it's so cool. It's so cool to watch.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard this week. I think it was last week, the week before, there was a big discovery in Shakespeare land.
No,
Yeah, there was did you send that, Miranda? So actually, someone else sent it to me.
I didn't send it,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
There's a fragment of a legal document that mentions Mrs. Shakespeare and Hathaway in London. So this whole thing of them, was an estranged marriage and all of that stuff. It puts it into question. It just shows you how little we know. And it reminds me sometimes, I bring that Little Bill Bryson book of Shakespeare because, as far as I know, that's the only book where every single fact in it has been verified.
interesting.
Everything else, all of oh, you got Charlotte's got it. Yeah, yeah, she's got it. It's very interesting to read.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you guys see what Charles McNulty put on social media today about the Othello? He went and
Yeah.
saw that, and
Mhm.
that was a neat blurb that he
Yes.
wrote. That he was talking about he went early and he was talking about the first 30 minutes. Just what a high profile event it felt like, and it was great to have that feeling in the theater about a Shakespeare play. You know, this Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal production that yeah, you know, people are excited about that show, and that in itself is really, really cool. I don't know how the actual show is. I don't know. Has anybody seen it or heard anybody? Oh yeah, Charlotte. Have
I
you read
didn't see.
anything?
Yeah, the reviews have been very mixed.
Yeah.
Mixed, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had some students see it. Um, I was a little chagrined because I heard that even in previews, lines were an issue.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually have a friend who's in it. He's one of the he's one of the smaller roles, and then he's a swing. He played Barbantio a couple times, and uh,
Oh, wait, we got a hiccup
he's
here.
had a really tough time.
Oh, sorry, we lost you for a second, but
Oh,
you're
sorry.
back now.
Yeah, no, he said the room has been two big personalities taking up a lot of space.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so
Fascinating.
yeah, and the reviews I think reflect that a little bit, which is $900 for a ticket.
Ooh,
Ah,
man.
Yeah, yeah.
It happens on Broadway. Commercial theater moves at a different pace, you
But it's
know.
also stunt casting, and I got plenty of feelings on the subject. But I'm glad people are excited about Shakespeare. I just wish it could be more accessible. I really do.
Jamal, you having understudied a major role in a huge production like that, it is it tough to keep on the lines? Like, is
Not
it
for me. Not for
no?
me, just because I've been doing this since I was 14 and I have a work ethic. And so it wasn't
Okay.
hard for me. Challenges for other people aren't challenges for me. And so, no, that's my answer. And here's
Yeah.
why. It's just because, like, there's something all like I'm hot, not because I'm hot. Like, this stuff hits me spiritually. I'm not
Yeah.
disconnected from this stuff. And Ethan Hawke had this thing talking about Robin Williams and how after doing stuff, they would be depleted. Like, this isn't light for me at all. And so, like, when I'm in the rehearsal room, I catch the message and the spirit in it. And so it's the poetry, but I also know what poetry is. And poetry is spirit. It creates space for something larger than us to come through. And so ever since I was a kid, like, I didn't start acting to be on stage to be famous. I started my first theater company was called Unleashed Talent Production. It was about telling our stories so we can see ourselves. And so I never played in the theater. So when I was understudying, yeah, I was understudying Blair, but that was him and my part. And me and Blair talked. He was like, "Yo, we're doing this together." And I said, "Oh, I know." Because I don't go into any space asking for anything. I'm there to do the job. I'm there to tell the story. And so, no, it's not hard for me because I know what I do this for. It goes beyond me. It comes through me. So my answer is no.
Absolutely.
But for other
That's
people, I
great.
can imagine it can be challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I spoke with an actor one time, and gosh, I think it was Charlton Heston was doing Man for All Seasons at the Amundsen. And this that was a while ago, and this actor said, "Why are you still doing this? Why are you still getting up here and doing plays?" And he said, I'm still trying to get it right. I'm just trying to get it right." And that made a lot of sense to me because that's one of the things like I don't like the word track that's used in theater a lot. And I've complained about this before. People say this is your track. And then I feel like it's such an exploration every performance, and track gives this connotation of, a lot of shows they're set and they have to be the same every night, and that's the rule. But I feel like there's a certain amount of exploration that needs to happen to try to continuously figure these things out.
You know,
And that's wise to say too, because I think like this is all systems, right? You have a director, you want to fulfill the show and do that, but you're still an artist. And my voice and speech teacher, Jan Gist, in grad school always say that a part of our job too is to translate what they're saying. So they might say this is your track, but what does that translate to you? right? They're saying track and they mean something, but you're still the artist floating in the space in between. So where's your autonomy with translating the information? That's within all structures where there's hierarchy, you know? And so I think it's important what you're saying, Nick, because you have to do the track and fulfill the director, but how do you fulfill that within yourself and blend the lines? I think is an artist's work.
The balance. Yeah, definitely.
But answering your question, too, it's very interesting in LA because a lot of the questions I get are why do you continue to do theater when you can do film and television, when you're working plenty in film and television? Why do you burden yourself? And it is an effort. It's and I always respond to that in a number of ways. First, the history of it, that to have a direct connection to a profession that's been going on for 2,500 years, and to read that the actor, I forget exactly which Greek actor was, to arrive at a certain, supposedly took the ashes of his son backstage. So in a kind of way, the method is nothing new, and more important, just that connection of 2,500 years ago, to think people always went through all of this stuff, to me is, and most importantly, I tell them, because in television film, I don't control the music. A director can say anything they want to me. He or she can say anything they want to me, but it's a collaboration because guess what? I get to do it. Whereas in film and television, as we all know, it's gone. It's gone. It's pieced together. You're entering the director's dream in film and television. And in the theater, the actor, things have changed. I mean, the power of the director at this particular moment, and with a play like this, is very, very important. I mean, just look what Julie Taymor did with this. Incredible. But at the same time, the actor has to perform it. The actor plays the whole symphony from the opening notes to the last note. And I find that really, really wonderful. And I find it very honest for an actor to do that.
Do you find, have you seen your performances on film and television be, do you consider it an editor's medium? Like, do you?
No, what I consider is that I am part of something and not as primary on film and television. Not because the work is not primary, not because we're there and doing the work, is that we don't have control of the work. There's not an actor, to my knowledge, obviously maybe some of the stars have final cut.
Sure.
And there's tons of things. Listen, speaking of Denzel, and if you do a film with them and you're in a scene with them, it's economics that their coverage is going to be more substantial than a young actor, or it's just the audience is paying to see them. And that's true in television too. I've had that. A producer told me one time, he said, "Oh, look, this actor came up to him. For some reason, he started talking to me. I generally keep to myself and do the work on set. And we struck up a wonderful conversation. An actor came over, one of the regulars, and said, 'Can I talk to you, man?' And he did. And he came back and he said, 'Actors.' I said, 'What?' He said, 'Actors.' I said, 'What? No, tell me.' He said, 'This guy's got a regular job on this series for 7 years. I had James Earl Jones in for a guest spot. And he's asking me, will I give him equal coverage when the scene airs?' And I told him, absolutely. But you know what? That's not true. It's not true, So again, getting back to the source, that in that way, it is the empty space, an actor and a passion. Still,
yes. Yes.
Maybe. And I also think I have to say this because I'm very young and I have done not big things that you do, but I teach my students to switch the mindset because we're storytellers first, is my opinion. And like when I'm on set, like I hang out with the directors. Like when I'm in my first audition, because I only want to collaborate, I'd rather not get the job if you don't respect my voice. And so when I get my first note in the first audition, I come down, I get close to the table and I talk, I start the conversation. And so I tell my students, do you want to be an actor that's a puzzle piece in this industry, or do you want to be a collaborator? And that's based on how you move. If you go into the room to book the job, that has nothing to do about story. That's something about you booking the job to take care of yourself. If you're there to tell a story and be a vessel, which is what I train my students to do, you are a vessel for a story that someone had to dream about. The writer goes through so much to get these stories on the page. And so, and this is just my training. Like I was trained to be a part of all of it at once. And so I realized me moving around this industry is a little bit, and even in the theater, it's different for me. Even when I was in grad school, you know, I got into it with Barry one time and I had no problem with it because I knew who I was, you know? And, you know, and so like sometimes I think that it's a mindset shift, but I think for me, I don't think it serves me to tell actors that you don't matter. I think it's a different collaboration and a mindset shift. And I think we all have different sensibilities with that and different tools and also different magnetism. We all operate differently in spaces. And so I think it's this, what you're saying, Tony, and I think there's other options as well. I think it just depends on what rooms you say yes to. And I think the actor remembers that you don't gotta say yes to every gig. And we can get into the business of it, right? We can get into I have to feed myself, but you don't have to say yes to everything. And so it is how you move. It's a mindset shift. And in this industry and in the world today, you know, we're asking, why are we doing Othello? Why is Shakespeare happening now? It's like these plays come back up for a purpose. Like we're attracted to this art for a purpose. And like plays that are on stage in this time, it's mirroring something. And so I agree with you. And I think there's other things because I have a different experience moving through my life everywhere I go.
You know, it's interesting that they're doing this show at the Swan right now, and even that review that I read in The Guardian was discussing that it's, you know, it's unfortunately never a bad time to do this play. I mean, there's a headline on CNN today about horrific things, you know, that have happened to people recently, and there are things that are not far off from the terrifying things that happen in this play. They're still going on right now all over the world. And the production of The Swan, evidently they have torture devices that are coming down that look very much like torture devices at places like Guantanamo or you know, in other parts of the world. So it's insane to me that this play is still relevant, but it is.
I just emailed all of you the review that that Nick is talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like a really cool production. I would like to see that. I really like Simon Russell Beale, and I bet he's great in that role for sure. Charlotte, how was your experience with Tamora this time? I know that you haven't. I just really, I don't know if you went to work on it over the week or, but I just really enjoyed your performance, and I just didn't know if there was something different that you found.
I just no, I didn't do any work on it.
Thank you for your honesty.
Yeah, I think I just I've always loved this role, and I think if you really want to indulge in her, she gets off on this a little bit, and there's
Yes.
a deliciousness to her that I love playing with, and when she gets to play revenge, it's like there's something there's a buffet to be had. Um,
I love how sorry, we lost you for a second, Charlotte.
Power of walking into this man's house and sorry.
You're back.
Oh, am I back? Oh God. All right. I'm back. Yeah, no, that's just I love the command that she has. This, you know, a woman in this world commanding her sons, seemingly commanding Titus, you know, holding down the stage. That's very intoxicating for a performer such as myself. So
Yeah, it's interesting that both of their children are in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Titus, and I love that we get to see how they speak to their children. That's like a nice little behind the scenes thing that Shakespeare gives us. You know, she has that private moment with her boys, and the way that Titus beckons Lavinia. There's something intimate about it. There's something that's father-daughter. It's almost like you had a gentle moment with it, Tony, that I really enjoyed. And when you said "come, come," yeah, just in those two little words, there's so much to be played. That's really fascinating. Yeah, and thank you for your commitment, Jamal, on "We Are the Emperor's Sons." You know, that it's hard in this medium because some of those things have to be quite extreme, and I think that line is, you know, them fighting for their lives, and I enjoyed the reading of it. Well, let's switch the casts. Let's perform it one more time, go all out, and then discuss it for a few minutes. And then Nathan's going to come on, and we'll have a few questions. Now, let me read this. The cast. Jamal, can you play Titus for us, please? Angie, would you play Tamora, please? Charlotte, would you play Demetrius and Publius, please? And Tony, would you play Chiron and Marcus, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thus, in this strange and sad habiliment, I will encounter with Andronicus and say, I am revenge sent from below to join with him and right his heinous wrongs. Knock at his study, where they say he keeps to ruminate strange plots of dire revenge. Tell him revenge is come to join with him and work confusion on his enemies.
Who doth molest my contemplation? Is it your trick to make me ope the door, that so my sad decrees may fly away, and all my study be to no effect? You are deceived. For what I mean to do, see here, in bloody lines I have set down, and what is written shall be executed.
Titus, I am come to talk with thee.
No, not a word. How can I grace my talk, wanting a hand to give it action? Thou hast the odds of me, therefore no more.
If thou didst know me, thou wouldst talk with me.
I am not mad. I know thee well enough. Witness this wretched stump. Witness these crimson lines. Witness these trenches made by grief and care. Witness the tiring day and heavy night. Witness all sorrow that I know thee well for our proud empress, mighty Tamora. Is not thy coming for my other hand?
No, thou sad man, I am not Tamora. She is thy enemy, and I thy friend. I am revenge, sent from the infernal kingdom to ease the gnawing vulture of thy mind by working wreakful vengeance on thy foes. Come down and welcome me to this world's light. Confer with me of murder and of death. There's not a hollow cave or lurking place, no vast obscurity or misty veil where bloody murder or detested rape can couch for fear, but I will find them out. And in their ears, tell them my dreadful name, Revenge, which makes the foul offender quake.
Art thou revenge? And art thou sent to me to be a torment to mine enemies?
I am. Therefore come down and welcome me.
Do me some service ere I come to thee. Lo, by thy side, where rape and murder stands. Now give some assurance that thou art revenge. Stab them, or tear them on thy chariot wheels, and then I'll come and be thy wagoner, and whirl along with about the globe, provide thee two proper palfreys, black as jet, to hell thy vengeful wagon swift away, and find out murderers in their guilty caves. And when thy car is loaded with their heads, I will dismount and by thy wagon wheel trot like a servile footman all day long, even from Hyperion's rising in the east until this very downfall in the sea. And day by day I'll do this heavy task. So thou destroy, repine, and murder there.
These are my ministers, and come with me.
Are they thy ministers? What are they called?
Rape and murder. Therefore called so, 'cause they take vengeance on such like men.
Good Lord. How like the Empress' sons they are, and you the Empress. But we worldly men have miserable, mad, mistaking eyes. Oh, sweet revenge. But now do I come to thee, and if one arm's embracement will content thee, I will embrace thee in it by and by.
Oh, this closing with him fits his lunacy. Whate'er I forge to feed his brain-sick humors, do you uphold and maintain in your speeches. And now he firmly takes me for revenge. And being credulous in this mad thought, I'll make him send for Lucius his son, and whilst I at banquet hold him sure, I'll find some cunning practice out of hand to scatter and disperse the giddy Goths. Or at the least make them his enemies. See, here he comes, I must ply my trade.
Long have I been forlorn and all for thee. Welcome, dread fury, to my woeful house. Rapine and murder, you are welcome too. How like the Empress and her sons you are. Well are you fitted, had you but a more. Could not all hell afford you such a devil? For while I walk, the Empress never wags, but in a company there is a more. And would you represent our queen aright, it were convenient you had such a devil. But welcome as you are, what shall we do?
What wouldst thou have us do, Andronicus?
Show me a murderer. I'll deal with him.
Show me a villain that hath done a rape, and I am sent to be revenged on him.
Show me 1,000 that hath done thee wrong, and I will be revenged on them.
Look round about the wicked streets of Rome, and when thou find'st a man that's like thyself, good murder, stab him. He's a murderer. Go thou with him, and when it is thy hap to find another that is like to thee, good repine, stab him. He is a ravisher. Go thou with them, and in the emperor's court there is a queen attended by a Moor. Well shalt thou know her by thine own proportion, for up and down she doth resemble thee. I pray thee, do on them some violent death. They have been violent to me and mine.
Well hast thou lessoned us. This shall we do. But would it please thee, good Andronicus, to send for Lucius, thy thrice valiant son, who leads towards Rome a band of warlike Goths, and bid him come and banquet at thy house? When he's there, even at thy solemn feast, I will bring the Empress and her sons, the Emperor himself, and all thy foes. And at thy mercy shall they stoop and kneel, and on them shalt thou ease thy angry heart. What says Andronicus to this device?
Marcus, my brother, 'tis sad Titus calls. Go, gentle Marcus, to thy nephew Lucius. Thou shalt inquire him out among the Goths. Bid him repair to me and bring with him some of the chiefest princes of the Goths. Bid him encamp his soldiers where they are. Tell him the emperor and the empress too feast at my house, and he shall feast with them. So do thou for my love, and so let him, as he regards his aged father's life.
This will I do, and soon return again.
Now I will hence about thy business, and take my ministers along with me.
Nay, nay, let rape and murder stay with me, for else I'll call my brother back again and cleave to no revenge but Lucius.
What say you, boys? Will you abide with him whilst I go tell my lord the emperor how I have governed our determined jest? yield to his humor. Smooth and speak him fair, and tarry with him till I turn again.
I knew them all, though they supposed me mad. And I knew them all, though they supposed me mad, and will all reach them in their own devices. A pair of cursed hell-bounds in their damn.
Madam, departed pleasure, leave us here.
Farewell, Andronicus. Revenge now goes to lay a complot to betray thy foes.
I know thou dost. Sweet revenge. Farewell.
Tell us, old man, how shall we be employed?
Hut, I have work enough for you to do. Publius, come hither. Cassius and Valentine.
What is your will?
Know you these two?
The Emperor's sons? I take them. Chiron, Demetrius.
I, Publius, fie! Are too much deceived. The one is murder, and rape is the other's name. And therefore bind them, gentle Publius. Cassius and Valentine, lay hands on them. Oft have you heard me wish for such an hour, and now I find it. Therefore bind them sure, and stop their mouths if they begin to cry.
Villains, forbear! We are the Empress's sons.
And therefore do what we are commanded. Stop, close their mouths, let them not speak a word. Is he sure bound? Look that you bind them fast.
Come, Lavinia. Look, thy foes are bound. Sir, stop their mouths, let them not speak to me, but let them hear what fearful words I utter. Oh, villains, Chiron and Demetrius. Here stands the spring whom you have stained with mud. This goodly summer with your winter mixed. You killed her husband, and for that vile fault, 2 of her brothers were condemned to death. My hand cut off and made of merry jest. Both her sweet hands, her tongue, and that more dear than hands or tongue, her spotless chastity, inhuman traitors who constrained and forced. What would you say if I should let you speak? Villains, for shame you cannot beg for grace. Hark, wretches, how I mean to martyr you. This one hand yet is left to cut your throats, while Lavinia tween her stumps doth hold the basin that receives your guilty blood. You know, your mother means to feast with me and calls herself revenge, and thinks me mad. Hark, villains, I will grind your bones to dust, and with your blood and it I'll make a paste, and of the paste the coffin I will rid, and make 2 pasties of your shameful heads, and bid that strumpet, yon hollow dam, like to the earth swallow her own increase. This is the feast that I have bid her to, and this the banquet she shall surfeit on. For worse than Philomel, you use my daughter, and worse than Procne, I will be revenged. And now prepare your throats. Then you come. Receive the blood. And when they are dead, let me go grind their bones to powder small, and with this hateful liquor temper it, and in that paste let their vile heads be baked. Come! Be everyone officious to make this banquet, which I wish may prove more stern and bloody than the centaur's feast. So, now bring them in, for I'll play the cook and see them ready against their mother tongue.
Bravo. Bravo.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Bravo. Woo. I love, this is why I love double casting. It's just so cool. I would go see this show both ways. It'd be so fun. It's just such a completely different reading, but completely just as powerful. First of all, Tony and Charlotte make a terrifying Chiron and Demetrius. Terrifying. Charlotte, I'm convinced you could play any role in this show.
Facts.
Absolutely.
Everybody can.
Jamal, what I love, you know what I loved about your Titus too, is that I felt he was carrying a great weight in the beginning of the scene. Um, it, I got a sense of heavy armor. I got a sense of, it was almost a broken heart. Not madness, but a broken heart. And then your progression towards the end of the scene that resulted in welcome, this when he shifts into this character, which is the chef, and it made me really excited to see the next scene. I want to see him in his chef's hat at the banquet playing this character that he's come up with. That's beautiful, beautiful progression. You made a clear decision on Art Thou Revenge? I loved your delivery of that line. You had a moment where you're like, okay, I'll play with this. It was just a split second of a decision that just seemed so human. It just felt so real. It was just a solid moment. Um, uh, Angie, your Tamara was it. What I loved about her is she felt like a prophet. It was almost like a John the Baptist type of character. I really enjoyed there was like a prophetic feeling about your revenge. It was it was such a different take than Charlotte's. Um, your Tamara gets off on this in a different way. It almost felt like a spiritual way, the way that she went into this character. Did you make a choice to go that direction, or is it? She definitely felt like a queen, to me, but it felt more like she was playing a prophet, or yeah, some ghostly
That's
figure.
interesting.
Yeah, it felt like a ghostly figure almost. Like yeah, it was really I really enjoyed it a lot. And you had some moments that where she would catch herself and break back into the human Tamara and then come back out to revenge. And those were so beautiful because we got a sense as an audience of the human playing this character. I really enjoyed those moments. Is there anything that you felt? What did you feel this time, Jamal? How did it feel for you?
Language wise, I'm always on my own language. Like, why am I hitting the me when I'm supposed to be hitting this thing? So that's a technical thing. I'm always going to catch myself technically because I can hear myself when I'm not hitting the right verbs. That's technical. Outside of that, I'm always finding the balance with myself because these things do, like the heaviness, like these stories live within me. I'm a Black man in this world, period. And so I get the darkness of this without any question, because I know what it is to be embodied with a history of people taking from you and then fighting back, getting revenge. Like I'm a part of all of it as a Black being embodied this time around. And so I'm always trying to find the balance of not losing myself in this. And I mentioned like this stuff is spiritual for me. And so like I always have to work with my spirit. Like I start to shake. Like I don't know if you could see it on the camera, like I begin to shake even before I'm even performing. And so for me, it was wonderful to ride the language, to remember my breath, to take my time when I chose to.
you know, because this isn't a performance. This is still a rehearsal. I have to remind myself of that. It's like, oh no, I can stay here. And I'm looking at the script, you know, because it's hard to split screen. So I'm looking at the script like, okay, what if I just stay here, see the next thing and go with it? And so that felt good to trust the process. It felt good to trust the process, you know? It's been a while since I've done some Shakespeare outside of this medium. And I think I surprised myself with what flows through me with the language and how much resonates with me in the language and all the characters. And so it was beautiful to explore, because again, this is no little thing for me. I wish I could say this is fun. It's not. This is work, because I don't see no separation at all. Like, this is actually painful for me. I almost didn't come today because it's a sacrifice for me to be here doing this. It's a sacrifice for me to have the conversations that we're having around this, and it literally hurts me. And it's work to come back down. And so I'm grateful for the room, because I think the conversations that we have in this space creates some safety for me. There's still a lot that I'm processing in these rooms, honestly. But yeah, this is no little thing for me. And so it felt good that I came today and that I wrote it out, because I'm in my own mourning as well, you know, and there's a lot of grief and mourning in this as well. And so I'm grateful that that can all be mixed. You know, when I was in college, my professor I used to have these migraines. He'd say, well, what do you do when you have this pain, when you go on stage? I'm like, well, you just breathe. He's like, no, what do you do? It's like, you stay in the present moment, which is why I'm so big on it. Because with whatever's going on in your world and your life, you can still be present. If you're mourning, if you're grieving, you can still be present. Anything could be going on, you can still come back to the moment. And so I learned that I still have that today, even with the heaviness that I carry. Because I've been heavy all week. And so it felt good to use art to kind of move that energy around today.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
this room with this piece. Thank you for asking.
Well, we're grateful we got to experience it with you. Absolutely. Angie, were you gonna say?
This time, what I really truthfully felt was the terrible limitation of this way of doing things, because I have to stay on the script. I can't, because there are such little things that happen between them. When does she think, oh my God, is he sane? Isn't he? All of those, if you're not tuned into someone's face in some way, it's hard. You sort of make up those things, but it's not the same as when they hit you in the moment. And God, face to face is so lovely. It's
Ain't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I tried to hold on you, but then you've got to keep on it, which is, and you know, it's hard. It's
It
hard.
is. Yeah, it's
I'm grateful for the chance to do it at all, but oh geez, wouldn't it be wonderful to be in the room together?
you realize how much you get from the person standing across from you. You get a lot of your character and a lot of your choices, especially, and they change just a little bit every night by what they're doing.
All of it.
Yeah.
And that's where that's where the film stuff helps, honestly, because sometimes you're talking to a tennis ball where like the person's not even there and you have to do everything, you know. And so it is very hard. And I was thinking that too, because I want to come back here and then I'm at the script and like, which way do I go, you know?
It's challenging to present these things. Tony, have you ever worked with green screen or things like that where you had to act by yourself on film? Where your mic's off, Tony. Yeah. Click your mic button.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, yeah, now your camera's off though.
There we go.
There we go. There you are. All right.
Yeah. No, I've done green screen. It's better than it used to be, in the sense that there was a time when you didn't even know what you were looking at clearly. I mean, they'd give you obviously a mark and they'd give you an idea, but now, you know, with the AI and with everything, you'll know what you're reacting to very clearly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
interesting.
Not that it helps. I mean, you still need someone, you know.
Yeah, I always find that with these, they're all rehearsal and performance at the same time. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
you're rehearsing, but at the same time you're aware that this is going to be presented for people, especially the fourth episode. A lot of times these are the ones that people click on and watch. I don't know. I'll ask Nathan whether or not that's true, but I feel like sometimes people will skip the first 3 weeks and just watch the last one so they can get straight to the finished product. But it's not a finished product. We got a long way to go. And without the context of the rest of the play, it makes it difficult as well because you have a progression getting to this point, that you've been on stage the whole time. I really want to do a whole play one time in this type of medium. I think it'd be really interesting to discuss an entire show over a month, but that's a lot of work. I keep bugging Nathan to do that. Um, anyway, I'm so grateful to have watched these performances today, and they're difficult, but watching you guys accomplish what you've done is this incredible learning process for me and for the rest of the audience, which is the point of this whole thing. And thank you all so much. Hi, Nathan.
Hello, hello. Yeah, no, this listening to this, it's almost like, boy, they're making my job almost non-existent. You guys have such deep conversations about many topics over the course of the 90 minutes. I'm like, well, I don't even need to ask any questions. They cover the breadth and depth of theater and history and acting, and no, it's all enjoyable, and it's all relevant, and I think. Speaking of the limitations of the medium, I think that only reminds us that this is just the first stepping stone in a series that, like, I think well, I would guess in the first day or in our medium, the first week, you might not feel ready to say, let's block this already. You want to dig into it, but you do get to a point where you're like, okay, now we need to actually be in the same physical space because we've dug into this enough. We can still explore and mine things and find moments, but it's that walk before you run thing. But yes, I agree that there absolutely comes a point where it's time for the next phase of if you were going to continue working on the scene, it would be entering that phase where you're all in the same physical space. Who knows? Maybe as technology speeds up, we can create some kind of virtual 3D rehearsal space that we can all be
Yes.
in.
yeah, yeah.
I mean that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure there were movies in the '90s that tried to recreate like what virtual reality was going to be like, and every decade there's
Holograms.
yeah, exactly that, and yes, so maybe we'll have holograms soon enough that we can work opposite off of. Um, but yeah, no, Nick, to your point about the difference in double casting, it is you're right, because it's not a question of, good or bad or right or wrong. It's just two very different interpretations of the characters. And as an audience member, it's really enjoyable to see and kind of like uh, very clearly experience that, oh right, there are multiple interpretations of this, that there's not just one way to do it, and um a person's personality and history and story and baggage and whatever else they bring is going to inform what that character is. And so uh yeah, if Angie did Titus or Tamora or Jamal did Chiron or Dimitri, it's always going to be different. And then of course you incorporate, those of us who've done full casting where you're kind of almost mixing and matching partners. It really is different almost night to night because it's like I don't know who's going to be on stage with me, or it's oh yeah, we haven't done this scene in like 6 days. Okay, well yeah, let's try to remember what it's going to be like. That keeps it fresh and alive for the actors too. Monologue too much more here, but I'm just building up all these ideas over the 90 minutes. Um, it's I think that's fun for the actors in that it keeps it fresh, and um, you just get to explore, staying very present of like what's it going to be like with a different actor or these parts. So yeah, no, it's been very very enjoyable hearing all the conversation. I'd be curious, since I know in the first week we talked about people's experience with the play or limited experience, whether they've seen it or just read it. Again, I came in having done neither. I'd be curious if anyone wanted to speak to just the journey with the play over these last few weeks. Any observations or thoughts you've had? Certainly those who didn't have much experience with it now coming, spending this time with it. Just if you've had any takeaways or ideas or whatever, just anything that changed or kind of morphed for you. Just kind of open it to anyone.
Well, I did this play at Lambda in London in a nunnery, entirely lit by candlelight, which you're not even allowed to do anymore. And it was a really, really cool experience. But the director was very adamant about, like I said before, not he didn't want comedy involved. He really wanted to. It was a very dark production, and I think they even killed Aaron's baby in this production, which which I was like, I don't know. So I kind of wanted to explore it myself because there were so many things that I didn't agree with that production, but I loved the play. And again, it was really, I really like Marcus. I think that he's an interesting character. He's kind of, I don't know, he's an angel in the darkness a little bit, and his poetry is just stays in my head all the time. I think about many of his lines and speeches. So I wanted to explore the show and see what I missed the last time and what we could gain. I think that the comedy is important, and I think that there are times when the audience needs to laugh in this show, and I think those are moments that help bring the love out. And I think that with so much chaos and blood, sometimes it's like the actor that doesn't move on stage, all eyes go to him. I think with so much chaos and blood, it really brings out the love and friendship and humanity and maternal and paternal parts of the play. Man, I probably would have done many other scenes, but this just seemed like the best scene that would fit in this medium with the amount of people that we could use. And but yeah, I think that I've achieved that through this experience. So thank you.
Great to hear.
I would like to say something on that question.
Yeah,
first
please,
question.
Jamal.
Something that is vibrant to me is that they're alike. I think Charlotte said this about Titus and Tamora. It's like sometimes we want to think that they're different than the other, but they're after the same thing because of the same offenses, just happened at different points in time of the experience. And so I love I always talk about mirrors. I think they're beautifully written in everything that we read if you can capture them. And if you could zoom out enough and capture the mirrors, that's when it really gets fun, because the illusion is that they're different, but they're a lot that is similar. And I felt that reading through it this time, like Titus and Tamora. It's the reason why they come face to face, and you will always come face to face to yourself in the end. That's a spiritual concept and just the truth. You will always be face to face with you and what you have done with your life and the choices you have made. And I think Shakespeare is really great at writing that in, if you can catch where it is.
Yeah, when I read that AI thing that said this was Shakespeare's worst play, I don't even think it said one of his worst plays. I think it said this is Shakespeare's worst play. And I was so like, I mean, I could, it's almost like there is no worst play. There are worst productions, but you can see a production of any one of his shows that can be fantastic. I was kind of shocked by that. I'm glad that we're exploring it.
Is
Yeah,
that a moral judgment?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that gives me a little bit of comfort that AI isn't quite ready to take over the world just yet, But I would just like to answer Nathan's question too, because I've really been made more aware, I think, of the of two things: just the beauty of the language, listening to all of you, work through its intricacies, and again, just the relationships, and that following from what Jamal was saying, they Tamora and Titus are in many ways just the obverse sides of a coin, his paternal love, her maternal love, and just those familial relationships really stood out to me this time, thinking about the play and listening to all of you, watching all of you.
Great. Angie, yes?
It's just, I think we can't ignore the fact that we like being entertained with gore and
Yes.
mayhem. I mean, we got to accept that.
Yeah.
It's not just serious and all this stuff. We enjoy watching. What are Marvel movies and all that shit?
Right.
It's entertainment.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree, and I think that's also what there's that, as you say, moral judgment by AI. I mean, who's AI fooling? None of us. I mean, that's exactly right. This gore and mayhem sell, but I think unadulterated gore and mayhem, at least for me, don't sell. It's there needs to be the nuance and the complexity of emotion, of character and characterization, and so on.
There's
please go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I guess for me it was the truncated nature of rehearsal these days, just simply economically, doesn't allow the time to do this, and so generally it's the director does it separately, and then the actors do it separately, and when that happens, sometimes you don't get the benefit of the room, and you're not dissuaded from your terrible ideas. So it sort of took me back in a kind of throwback way. But there is a point, I must admit, there is a point, as Angie said, where you say, you know what? It's all well and good, but we need to put it on its feet now. So, and in that regard, that's what was a pleasure, just talking about it in different ways. There are so many ways,
Yeah, think about it, because if we were actually rehearsing this play, we would never have the time to spend this much time on this scene.
Never.
So I'm grateful for that, although I complain about
and not only that,
limitations.
even in the good old days, you block it, you work on it once, before you know it, you're into run-throughs and you're into previews. So you better work quickly, and that's why sometimes it's really, really beneficial when you're running in rep, because you have the time off to really digest it and to all of a sudden absorb what's going on, because it's dense, the poetry, etc.
What I like about this too, Nathan, is that we can take this experience, and if we do Titus someday, this is going to help. And all these shows, I try to do every one of these that I can in case I come across these plays in the future. I'm going to know this scene a little bit better. It's like pre-rehearsal.
And I think even for actors or artists who enjoy table work, everyone's going to come to a point at some point. There'll be different levels where, they're going to be chomping at the bit going, okay, we've talked a lot about this. Now we need to, we need to feel it. We need to experience it. So, there's no actor in the world that just only wants to stay at the table. It's like, okay, we gotta finally do this. So, I completely agree that this, and this has never been about, replacing theater productions, or it's not about that at all. It's just, let's try to work in a different way, and because this medium affords us that, and we don't have to think about all the other things, but it's just one luxurious block in a process.
Hey, Nathan, was this remind me, was this a child of the pandemic?
It was, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Actually, we did a live stream reading We all remember how fun those were. We did a live stream reading in like early April. Like it was pretty early on because saw another company doing it, and I thought to myself, well, I know a bunch of really good actors who probably have nothing to do right now. So let me see if I can get all them together. And sure enough, I could. And we did that a couple times. We did Much Ado About Nothing, and then we did The Merry Wives of Windsor, and some of the people here were involved with that. But then it became, well, what else do we want to do? And the conversation was that a lot of people had been doing these live stream readings, but they felt a little unfulfilling, and they felt extremely chaotic because you'd have like maybe no rehearsal or maybe one meeting, and then it's like just do it. And it can be fun, but I think, and especially in the early days of the pandemic, there was no end in sight to being at home. It was like, well, let's take some time to just take some time just to explore these scenes in a way that we don't often get the chance to. So it came out of conversations with a lot of the artists who had been involved with those projects. So yeah, that was the idea, and it's never gotten stale to me, and it doesn't seem to get stale, to others, that they enjoy working like this, at least, again, as the first step in the process. Or like Nick said, it's a great way to do a little bit of a primer on the play of like, if you do ever get to, work on it in the future, or you want to direct it, or whatever, it's a good little testing ground just to try out some ideas and see how it feels. I mean, I just did a scene from Shaw's Misalliance that we're uh, currently releasing, and to Jamal's point about just how much it can take to do these things. That was one of the conversations, and it's no stranger to anyone in this room. But just how exhausting, how exhausting it is to make something look casual or to make something look relaxed. It's such a tremendous amount of work, and if people watch films or even go to the theater, and somebody seems it takes a lot of physical, vocal, mental energy to do all that stuff. And once the adrenaline wears off, I would guess most people feel pretty spent. Now that might be 2 in the morning, it might be the next morning or whatever, but yeah, it is. I think that's also a great reminder for artists or audiences viewing this stuff that that's the work that this material asks of you. Tony was talking about earlier. Other people commenting. Just why you come back to this work and why schools keep using it is that it is so demanding. It does ask so much of you, and uh, it is a bit of a Herculean event, to prepare for it and get ready for it and train for it in some ways and then do it. And I sheepishly, experienced that after producing so many of these, like acting in a scene the last time. It was just like, man, yeah, this is a different level of tired, but it's fun. I mean, it's like an athletic competition. You don't necessarily feel tired in the middle, while you're doing it. You just engage. But after you get off the stage, you're just like, I remember when I played Richard III, I had water like set at different points around the theater, and like snacks that I could just, wherever I was exiting, I could grab something to eat, grab something to drink, because it's like I'm not going to make it to the other side of the stage if I don't have anything with me right now.
It's real.
So I would you know, uh, like I said, the conversation has been great, and you guys, talked a lot about a lot of different things, which has been wonderful. And I also want to honor people's time, and if we're at kind of a natural wrapping up point, that's okay too. We can always go home early. That's fine. But if there were any other thoughts people had about specific moments in the play that either or in the scene, I should say, that when you first read the scene you kind of envisioned it or thought about it in a certain way or thought about a character in a certain way, but how that maybe has changed for you over time. um whether that's Chiron, Demetrius, Tamora, Titus, because that's a trap that I can fall into, reading these plays, is that I envision the characters a certain way. And it's not till you actually get in there and work on it and explore it and try to connect the dots that it's like, oh, okay, I have to let go of some of those ideas because that was just, I was just projecting onto this, and let me start with the text. So if anyone has any of those thoughts that they, something morphed for them or surprised them, or challenged an idea that you had about the play or about the character, I'd be interested to hear about that, from any of the artists. But
It's
I'll
the
just.
character that's in this scene that doesn't speak that is still thick in my mind, Lavinia. You
Mm,
know, I think that we forget. I was reading the Book of Longing by Sue Kidd last night, and it's the moment where one of the characters is raped, and then her father cuts her tongue out, and then it was so interesting. I was reading that last night because we forget, because we don't have a Lavinia in this room to show that. What we do, and I know we're entertaining too, but we forget that there's a woman on stage, mutilated, on display. And I keep saying that. I think I said this every rehearsal in one way or another. I'm surprised that we don't talk too much about that. And again, that's the thing that I still get caught up on each rehearsal, is that we have a woman who is not in this room, who is mutilated, that is holding a bucket with blood pouring into it. And I was reading that book last night. I was like, yeah, this shit happens. And I can't let that go, because it's the imagery that I know, playing Titus, that I have to engage with. My father.
Lavinia is a scene stealer in this show for sure. All eyes are on her anytime she's on stage. I feel like everybody's checking in with her, because any character that's listening,
It's another reminder to me what we forget about in our world, and what we speak little about. It's the ones who's silent in the room, most vulnerable in the room, when everything is happening around. I cannot let that go in this room. I cannot let that go, because it's interesting. And then we make it lighter, because we need the comedy to make it lighter. I can't make it lighter. She ain't stealing the show. Everything was stolen from her. That's the story. Everything was taken from her. She ain't stealing shit. Everything was taken from her. And so I can't let that go. It ain't stealing no show. Sorry, I'm not sorry, but that's where my passion lies. And again, that's so interesting to me. And that's so important in this scene.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm caught up on still.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. It's a great point, and I think you would absolutely, inform everybody, as you continue working on it. If you were to block it and have this, have her there, I completely agree. Anyone else wanted to share any thoughts or ideas about specific moments in the scene?
Well, I don't really have that, but to the point of Lavinia,
Yes.
in the production I did called Citrus Andronicus, which admittedly was a crazy take on the play, each character was embodied by fruit, and Titus was a pineapple, and he had banana hands and like all this stuff. But when we got to Lavinia, we really thought long and hard about what she was, and she was a peach. And she was this, and we created this tower for her, and the characters in it protected, like whenever the peach was there, it was she was protected, and she was surrounded, and she was guarded, and she was all these things. And at the end of the play, the peach got destroyed, and it was this like massive tearing apart of this peach, and it devastated the room, because everybody by that point had imbued this peach with what she was, and it was a really moving moment. The audience was leaning in, and like there's just peach everywhere.
Right.
And it was it was a surprisingly moving moment. And to your point, Jamal, like she's there, she's constantly present, and how everybody relates to her is the key to this play. And when we destroy things, how much lower can we go? How much more bottom out can we dig? That's what we found through just this crazy clown experiment. Like the devastation of the play still exists. So that was always an interesting point I found with the play.
Yeah, it's funny. On a whole slightly different thing is it's wonderful to work on the early plays and then see the later ones. I mean, many people say this is like an audition for Lear in a kind of way, but when you look at the language in the two plays, it's very, very different, and you see the maturity in a kind of way. This one, it clunks sometimes, and then all of a sudden you have this jewel.
Yeah,
you have this just incredible sort of thing, and maybe because this pearl is surrounded by all the other detritus that it shines, but. And also had great respect for how difficult this play is, and it needs to be in the right hands. And as I said, the theater is what it is. It's I'd be very attuned to who the director was before I would agree to do this play.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just
Miranda, like, to what extent do you think this play was responsible for Jacobean theater? I mean, it had a lot to do with it. Am I correct? Or you know more than me?
Yes, and it certainly both reflects the interest in revenge tragedy and anticipates the Jacobean variations on that theme of revenge tragedy. I think I would hesitate, I guess, to lay the weight of Jacobean revenge tragedy on Shakespeare's shoulders in this play. And of course, when you think about what Marlowe was writing at this time too, those are, again, to Angie's point, those are, bloody plays, and they were popular as images are of gore are to this day, and what that speaks to in human nature psychologically, I'm not sure I want to think about right now, but and yet always with Shakespeare, again, I come back to the language. There's a beauty to the language, a nuance to the characters, a complexity to the characters. Shakespeare makes it hard. Speaking for myself, I think Shakespeare makes it hard for us to write villains off as purely villains. They are three-dimensional. They aren't two-dimensional characters or caricatures. Those elements may be there, but then there's nuance as well. So it's been a real treat for me, I have to say, to really think about this play again and this scene, and just as to end where I began in our first session. I just always feel such a debt of gratitude to all of you, to actors and directors who bring Shakespeare's plays off the page, which is at the end of the day where they need to live. So
Yeah, it was fascinating to listen to and be present to all the conversations around the tone of how heavy it is, and the comedy of it, or and the pathos of it, and the heart of it. Like it's as we talk about, it's the gore and whatever is still something that attracts people, and there are horror movies for horror's sake, but it's not every gory film that also has a sense of humor or has a character that you really care about. And so I think when those projects come along, and they're typically more in TV or film than in theater, they really resonate with people. I mean, I didn't see all of it, but I know, like I think of the show Dexter that had a character that was, a serial killer, but it was more than that. It wasn't just him killing people. There was something else, going on there, and I'm sure we could come up with other examples. But and it's why we can look at Shakespeare as again further evidence of being such a great writer, that it's a tricky thing to do. You can write something where people just get killed left and right, but or even the more recent movie Get Out, that has these real suspenseful thriller moments, but there's some real heart in there, and there's also some levity in there, and it's something very hard to navigate, or very hard to capture and to write well. But I think that's what draws us in, is that it's not just the gore, it's how it affects everybody, and the humanity of it. Jamal, I love the passion with which you speak, about all of this stuff, and I appreciate how much it and I do mean that. I appreciate how much it impacts you personally, and your willingness to be part of this, and so thank you for being here. It's just been a great series, and I want to thank Nick again for bringing up Titus Andronicus as a selection, and Charlotte, Miranda, Angie, Tony. Really, again, thank you all. Jamal, thank you all again for being part of this. This was a lot of fun for me to get kind of a nice entry point into this play, to feel like, okay, I have a tiny little window now into Titus, and I can always explore that thread further. So if unless anybody else has anything burning that they want to add about the play or their experience, we can kind of wrap it up here. And I will mention those watching, again, come on back. We have lots of sessions out there that you can go check out. Full sessions on Chekhov and Shakespeare and Shaw and Stoppard. So many things that you can just go and dig into the nitty gritty of how does this work? How do we bring this to life? And lots of different artists. Some of you'll see some of the same people in other scenes. Like it's played. It's almost like our own private little repertory company. You get to play lots of different parts. It's really great, and I'm that's been one of the things that's been really rewarding for me, is seeing actors get to play so many different things. I for everybody sitting here, I can think of other roles you've played, and it's like, yeah, they were so great in that, and they're so great in this, and it's just a lot of fun. And actors don't always get that. They tend to be like, oh yeah, I'm playing the best friend again, or I'm playing the, whatever it is. You just say, yeah, that again, but it pays the bills. But this is something that you get to have a little more fun with. So that's that. Again, leave comments, connect with us on social media, or here on YouTube or the podcast. And thank you again. Excited to close out this session of Titus, and I look forward to not only seeing all of these artists, but hopefully the audience come on back to the rehearsal room. We'll do it again another time. So thank you guys, everybody, again, for your time and effort and work.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you all
Nathan.
so
Well,
much.
thank you.
All right.